Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another Opinion Reviews and Commentary. I am Lorenzo Marchessi, and just so you know, everything that is said here comes from me. It's my personal opinion and observations, some positive, some negative, but either way, it's all personal and from my perspective of the entertainment industry and viewing things and my own personal experiences. So, with that said, as you can see, I'm all dolled up in my SeaQuest DSV. I've got my wonderful shirt. I actually wore these on the set, not this one. This was obviously I got this online, and of course my SeaQuest DSV hat. Now, for those of you who are wondering what is SeaQuest DSV, it's actually a TV show that ran in the 90s. It was an amazingly detailed show, very expensive per episode, and it was a time when CG and computer graphics were in their early stages. Not bad for the time, considering what we have now in the 2020s, but definitely when you viewed it, it was pretty cool because it was like the next step beyond video games at the time in the 90s, but more realistic, more photorealistic, but still has that early CG kind of look to it. And basically, it was about a massive submarine in the future. That's main job was to protect the seas and protect life from, apparently in the future, we have kind of different governments that are against each other and trying to stop each other. The show is about humanity. The show is about prosperity. The show is about preserving what's good and right. It dealt with everything from ghosts in one episode to the lost city of Atlantis and the results of if one day we actually find that continent that supposedly existed, as well as all kinds of mythological and fun stuff and facts and history, even time travel. So it was a great show. It was all done underwater in terms of the main set and settings were on the SeaQuest, which was this huge, it's like the Titanic underwater. It was not quite that many people, but in terms of its size and its power, it was nuclear powered, of course. To top the show off, it had one of my very, very favorite actors. His name is Roy Schieder, and probably know him best from Jaws. Yes, he was the one who actually beat the shark. Among other movies, 2010, all kinds of great stuff he's done. But as far as I'm concerned, this show was one of my favorites when it first aired back in the 90s, mid to late 90s, and was shot at Universal Studios Hollywood for its first season. So they took up stage 2 and about 3 other sets, and they specifically built these sets with water, meaning to do water issues, leaks and explosions, as well as to actually house a dolphin. His name was Darwin in the series, who was a regular character, was involved with a lot of the rescues and things. When you saw him live, he was on set. They had the set built where he could swim all around in different areas and be there. But a lot of times it was shot at the Oceanic Institute, where you have to have the pools and stuff where they can do the dialogue outside of what is the ship. So this was the season 1 logo. SeaQuest DSV, Deep Submergence Vehicle is what DSV stands for. And it literally went thousands and thousands of feet below the surface. So it could withstand the pressure. It was designed with this special organic skin-like thing that would help it, if not evolve, but adjust to the according situations. And this was the original cast when it first aired. I'll just go real quick. Roy Schieder, he's there in the center, the main star. Jonathan Brandis was the hot teen idol at the time. Really hot stuff on every teen magazine. I'm sure every 14-year-old girl in the country had his poster on their bedroom door and all that other stuff. Really, really, really popular at the time. And this was pretty much his only claim to fame in terms of his big project. He did a couple movies as well. But unfortunately, for personal reasons, he actually committed suicide. So shortly after the show was canceled. So it was kind of sad because he had a really bright, promising career in terms of getting other projects, of course, as he went into adulthood. But Stephanie Beacham, she's right there to the right-hand side of in the middle there with the blue outfit. Wonderful actress. She's an English actress. She's been on Star Trek Next Generation. She's had a couple of her own series appearances. Wonderful down to earth person. I've met her personally. She was a doctor, and her and Captain Bridger, which was Roy Scheider's character, had some very funny and cat and mouse kind of thing going on in terms of he's, military and science, and she's just science. You'll have to see the first season was really wonderful. Also, we have Stacey Haddock, who's the right under Jonathan Brandis, who's the kid on the let's see, would be your left, right below there with the looks like a red some sort of undershirt there. She probably know her too from Superboy. She was Lana Lang. I forget the character. She was one of the Langs with Superboy in that series, which was shot in Florida as well. Oh, I didn't tell you. First season was shot at Universal Studios. Second season was shot. They moved the whole production to Florida because they just opened up the new MGM Universal Florida locations, actual filming sound stations and stuff. So this was kind of like their project. They wanted to carry it over, which is why some of the cast was replaced because a lot of the actors didn't want to make that cross-country move from California to Florida to do the show. Obviously, Roy and some of the key cast did, but like Stephanie did not, and so on and so forth. Don Franklin, the Afro-American actor right above Roy Scheider, was the second in command. Great introduction for his character because he was actually supposed to be combative with Roy Scheider because the military wanted to get Roy Scheider back out of retirement to command the SeaQuest, which, by the way, his character designed. So everything about the SeaQuest was his design, with obviously adaptations for the project overall. John D'Aquino is Stephanie Beacham is in the blue. He is right above her shoulder to her right, with a white neckline. He was a funny character. He's basically the comic relief for the project, and as a result, was in charge of procuring the supplies and needs of whatever the ship may have. And as a result of that, lots of comedy ensues because basically he's got one thing in mind, and that's to make as much money as possible. Then we have Royce D. Applegate, another actor who unfortunately has passed away since this production. He's the one on the bottom, very bottom of the what would be, I guess, your left, right below Stephanie Beacham in the blue. He was the chief of security. Wonderful character, very funny. No, he knew he knew Captain Bridger from a previous tour and stuff. And so the relationship there was also pretty cool. Ted Raimi, whose famous brother became a famous director, is the one with the glasses on the top, right next to Don Franklin, the Afro-American actor there. He was a technology whiz. A little bit of a lot of anxieties and hang-ups and stuff, but he was the smart one when it came to communications and fixing things, and obviously the brainiac of the bunch. Next to Don Franklin on the other side is Marco Sanchez, and he was the what do you call it? The navigator, weapons kind of guy, expert. He dealt with the ship's defenses and helped navigate and stuff. So the Hispanic member of the crew, kind of a multicultural. Just to let you know, Darwin did have a voice, and what they did is Jonathan Brandis' characters, the teenager, created this box that would allow Darwin the dolphin to talk, and you could interact. Well, the voice of Darwin was Frank Welker. You probably know him from his 190 character voices from the Warner Brothers cartoons, and he's done voices for Animaniacs and all kinds of either nonsensical or animated characters. So he was the voice of that. That was kind of cool. Another name I want to mention is Dr. Bob Ballard. He was the actual consultant for the show. He made sure that the real science was there in terms of the underwater, submergence, things you could do and not do in terms of technology. And most of it was projections, because we don't have the metals and devices that this show presents yet to go, 5,000 feet deep and withstand the pressures and all that, as well as some of the technology in terms of how you could get a device on a dolphin because when Darwin was outside the ship rescuing things and doing things, it was CG, and he was animated with his device, as opposed to being on set. They show it to you, but obviously it's not. It's a fictional device so far. All right, let's jump to that's the logo for season 2. Now in season 2, they made a few changes. As you can see, we've got some new cast members. Stephanie Beacham had left the show. We've got Rosalind Allen, who is, you see Roy Schieder in the center. To his right, the lady in the blue, to second, 1-2 people over. She's the lady in the blue. She had the ability of telekinesis and mind reading. And she was kind of a psychic doctor. She was an actual medical doctor as well as she could read minds and empathize with a lot of people. So it was an interesting twist as opposed to Dr. Westphalen, which was Stephanie Beacham's, who just blew it out of the water as far as I'm concerned. Rosalind was good, but I still prefer Stephanie Beacham. Edward Kerr is the guy in between them, right? Again, on the right side of Roy Scheider. Kind of the new spunky, gung-ho, we'll get that good-looking, bulky kind of character in there to attract, I'm sure, the ladies, more ladies in the audience. The two best additions, as far as I'm concerned, was the DeLuise brothers. Dom DeLuise had 2 kids. He has more than that, but these are the 2 kids that kind of had the limelight in the 90s, 80s and 90s, were Peter and Michael DeLuise. Now, let's start with Michael. Michael's on the far end of the right, all the way in the end. He's the little guy over there. Very feisty character. His character was always in trouble. In fact, he was coming from a prison sentence, and they put him on there to pay his dues, kind of things. And but in the long run, how he evolves and how he learns from Roy Scheider and Jonathan Brandis, how to get along, how to work with people. It's really cool. Another addition is his brother, which is Peter DeLuise. He is 1, 2, 3 people from Roy Scheider's left, next to Jonathan Brandis and Ted Raimi, in between the two. He's the bald head guy. He's got the tattoos kind of thing. Peter was an amazing character. He played Dagwood. It was a specific genetically bred kind of race of humans that were designed to withstand anything and be super strong and heal quickly. But they're not great thinkers in terms of they weren't given the ability that a normal person would have in terms of cognitive abilities. But Dagwood characters learns, he educates himself, he learns right from wrong. He becomes a really valuable crew member on the SeaQuest, and has some really interesting stories about his back history and so on and so forth. Great character, great performances by those 2 brothers. Kathy Evison is the other new one. She is right on Roy Scheider's left. Yeah, his left, the little tiny girl. She's like the smallest one wearing the blue. She was a pretty sharp technician and operations person. She not only had a technology background, she had a great personality in terms of dealing with all the crew and their various forms of interpretation. And nice little fun touch. It's interesting they did the cast changes. Mainly the reason was because of the move from California to Florida, but they did some interesting twists. Now, let's jump to the 3rd season. For some reason, they needed to put the year on, I think, to differentiate the Roy Scheider series 1 and series 2. Series 3, they call it SeaQuest 2032, kind of establishing the year, the fact that it's not the previous seasons, and again, they recast. Although Roy Scheider did, let me zoom in on this for you. Although Roy Scheider did make a couple appearances in season 3, the main thing is he wanted to back away from doing a regular series. So he did a couple guest appearances and so on. Michael Ironside replaced as the captain of the SeaQuest. He was Oliver Hudson, and probably know him better from V. He was regular on the series V, kind of played a rough and rugged bad guy turned good guy against the visitors in that. And this one, he's a pretty stern, hardcore, pretty rough and tough, no holds barred kind of captain. And he teaches some valuable lessons to pretty much everybody. The other addition was Alice Neal as Lieutenant J.J. Fredericks. She is the Afro-American woman in the upper, let's see, it would be to Michael Ironside's right, right there between Dagwood, which is Peter DeLuise, and Ted Raimi. She was another interesting character. Her character was she had a chip put in her to deal with her emotions and feelings kind of situation. She was kind of a more of a human with all the unnecessary, what they considered unnecessary emotions taken out, so that when she fought battle, there wasn't a moral dilemma, shooting the enemy and so on and so forth. She also does a quite interesting character arc for that. So as you can see, by third season, they kept some of the main characters. Obviously, Jonathan Brandis was their, at this point was their cash and chips for all the young people in terms of that. And then not having Roy Scheider, I felt did change the show's dynamic. Wasn't as I found his captain much more empathetic and real than Michael Ironsides, who just came on, basically that strong military punch. But he did have a few moments where he proved to be, he does have a human side for the military. This is Darwin, an actual dolphin that they used for the series. And that's Darwin underwater wearing the actual prop they put on him to help him breathe. As you can see, there's a little gap above his, just above his blowhole there, because obviously it's a futuristic device they haven't really invented for dolphins. But apparently the dolphin, Darwin, didn't mind wearing it. Looks like it kind of velcroed around him, maybe even made him warmer or something. But it's kind of cool how he went with it. And they had trainers on set and all kinds of things. And Darwin apparently became really familiar with the cast and crew because of the association. They were on set for quite a while. That's Jonathan Brandis and Roy Scheider and Darwin right there. The actual on the set, on the bridge, all the along the ships, the corridors and things. There were the tubes of fresh water, seawater for Darwin to swim up and down to do some scenes, and they had some scenes where the interaction was really, really cool. There's another one of those tense moments from season 1 where something obviously is going on very dastardly and disastrous or whatever, and coming to save the day. This is a funny picture. This is Ted Raimi, Mr. O'Neill on the ship, holding up his own action figure. Now, if you can see, this is probably maybe 10, 15 years after the show had been canceled. But obviously, he must be autographing it for somebody at a convention. But I just thought that was cute to show you that, yes, most of the characters had action figures first season. Not so much the new characters in the second, third season, but it would have been great to have a Dagwood kind of situation. These were the patches. These are actual patches that they're used. It's actually on my hat right here, as well as the uniform logos, the UEO, United Earth Organization is what that stood for, and SeaQuest DSV 4600. 4600 was the class of the vessel. Deep Submergence Vehicle is the classification. Yes, it was so popular that Genesis and Sega Genesis and what was the other format? The Super Nintendo actually had video games versions of this show. Basically mimicking the controls and stuff the ship had. It was really cool. I remember having it back in the years ago. And of course, there's mentioned the action figures. Move that down a little so you can see. Yes, all the key characters. There's also, if you look on the bottom where it shows all 9 that are available, there's Darwin, which is a really cool dolphin, full-size dolphin compared to them, as well, not full-size meaning in relation to the other action figures. But there's 2 villains they decided to print that were really cool, and they got all accessories. Back then, when they made action figures, they came with all kinds of accessories. Nowadays, they're kind of cheap when it comes to that. Guns and communicators and harpoon devices. In fact, each of these packages, I believe, also had an aquatic animal. A hammerhead shark, jellyfish, other fishes. So they were kind of rubber and you could play with them. It's really cool. They did it well back then. But in terms of their likeness, pretty good. This was the dedication plaque, probably the clearest picture I could find. United Earth Organization, Oceans and Navy, New Cape Quest, Florida. That's where it docked by the 3rd season. It was originally commissioned and built in Pearl Harbor in Hawaii. And you get to see that when you watch the show, especially the beginning. That's the soundstage here at Universal Studios Hollywood, where they shot the show. I believe that's soundstage 2, which is one of the larger ones, and they also had 2 other sound stages for the aquatics and stuff and the various sets that they needed. A lot of it was shot in and around Malibu and the beaches for the exteriors of some of the shots that they did do. That's Pearl Harbor. That's SeaQuest docked in Pearl Harbor, I believe. Could be Florida. It's hard to tell. I'm gonna say that's probably the new Florida location by the 3rd season, because you would recognize Pearl Harbor. There's one shot where they show it above. Yeah, that's the 3rd season in Florida. This is one of the chairs, the navigational chairs they used, actually designed for the show, and it's actually real in terms of its function and pull levers. It kind of sways in I believe 3 axes. So and there it is on the set. This is prior to it being completed. Obviously, a lot of technology goes into this and preparation, which I think is cool in terms of behind the scene. That's the actual engineering data screen that they show on camera of how the system works. I don't know if you can see the thick whitish line that circles front and back and just kind of goes around the edge. That's the tube where Darwin is accessible to throughout the ship. You can swim throughout and go to different places, including the bridge, which is the front nose part on the right side there. That's the SeaQuest out of, not diagram, but as it looks. It's got the top, which is the bottom picture. It's got the bottom, which is the middle picture, and then the side view, which is the very top picture. Pretty big ship. And the front and back, of course. Love the show, love the design. And it kind of, with that new skin, fleshy thing surface on its outside, when you see it on camera, it looks pretty cool. It kind of looks like it's living, which it is, supposedly. There's another diagram in terms of what's going on. Kind of tiny. Let's see if I can make it larger. Yeah. Port profile, overview. You can see the decks, the lines for the decks. But anyway, that's kind of the fun stuff behind the scenes in terms of showing you SeaQuest DSV. I love the show. I love the writing. The writing was amazing. The stories were intriguing in terms of character. A lot of it is fiction, of course. Most of it is fiction. But it's what the characters that make it, like the ghost story. The characters made it fun and uniquely engaging, as well as the topical issues. They talked about war. They talked about diversity. They talked about the effects of the environment and hazardous waste and what we're doing to the oceans. So it was topical at the time because there was a lot of environmental concerns in the 90s, and there still are, as you know, of course, today, 2020. And there you have it, SeaQuest DSV, or SeaQuest DSV 2032. That's season 3. Hope you enjoyed this commentary and reviews. I hope you get a chance to check it out. And just so you know, it is available on DVD and Blu-ray if you want to catch it. The quality is amazing. They did the best they could from the transfers of the 90s, but because back then they weren't doing HD. But it was a wonderful show. The late great Roy Schieder was the amazing lead for the at least first 2 seasons and made it cameos. A couple of the cast members have passed away since then. So it's like I said, it's story driven, character driven, a little fantastical in terms of some of the concepts they came up with, but it was fun and it made you laugh. It moved you a couple times, and a couple times it makes you think, environmentally speaking, about what we're doing to our oceans and how important they are to the planet overall. So again, I hope you enjoyed this opinion, news, and commentary. It's all coming from me. So don't say don't quote anybody else, because I love the show. It had its flaws, it had its technical flaws. It was the early CG, so you kind of want to smile when some of the CG effects you look at. But again, for its time, it was the first of its kind to be in a regular weekly series like this. So give it that little boost there, and go with the fantasy. Suspend your disbelief. You'll enjoy it because it was well written. Anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it again. Please subscribe. I need those subscribers. It's very important. There's a little bell you ring. It'll let you know exactly when I post something new. It's always fun to check those out as well. I have a commentary show. That's this one. I have a show where we talk about things, where family and friends talk about different various subjects, as well as the unboxing, the Geek Authority, where I get to open up and see things for the first time, and you do too. And my reactions are genuine because I'm literally opening them up, usually new stuff for the first time. And then I have the Geek Authority's Mysterious Chamber of Collectibles, where I pull out some of the stuff I've been collecting from my years of living, and you get to see what was out there and what is out there if you go to eBay and stuff to collect for yourself, as well as the Geek Authority show, where I actually talk to actors, writers, directors, producers, cosplayers. So much fun learning about production and entertainment and toys and all kinds of conventioning from people who actually are doing it. So again, thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed this one. And until next time, we will see you later. Bye-bye.